Welcome back to SportsLine. I'm Steve Wrigley, sitting in for Steve Lehman and John Burton here on a nice Monday night in August 8th. We're talking Tennessee Titans for the most part tonight. Had a couple of calls. Would like to see a little action on these phones. 737-7767. We've heard from Derrick Henry. He's a man of few words. Let's hope he's a man of many yards and few words. And then we also heard from Tajae Sharpe, a guy who's impressing a lot of people with his ability to catch the football. Penciled in on the last depth chart I saw with the first teamer as the number 3 slot receiver. And now let's hear from Jack Conklin, the guy who Mike Mularkey has on his offensive line. And the idea behind drafting him is to make that line nasty like it used to be back in the day when the Titans, back in the glory days. Tough offensive line. The only time you talk about the offensive line is when they're not doing their job. And then you let the running backs and the quarterback talk about him when things go well. But boy, the only time linemen show up is when everything goes completely wrong. But Jack Conklin has come in and done a really nice job. He's a young guy, and so we're pairing a Michigan State guy in Conklin with a Michigan guy, Luan, and hopefully that their nastiness will permeate the entire offensive line. And DeMarco Murray will be able to run wild, and Marcus Mariota will be able to fling that pigskin all over the yard at Nissan Stadium on Sundays. But for right now, let's take a quick listen to Jack Conklin talking about life in the NFL, the rookie, a couple of weeks into his career.
It's a blast. It's the anticipation, especially being a rookie going through, the combine and all that training. You're never really playing football, and it's come full circle, and we're out here playing actual football and getting after it with each other.
Sense of nerves or maybe anxiousness for day one?
Yeah, definitely a little nervous, a little anxious. I mean, that's to be expected, and I think that really, propels you. You want to be on edge. You want to really be focusing in, and it was fun. We got out there today. Everyone was moving fast, and we got things to fix, and that's good, but all together we were playing physical and playing fast.
It's early, but how would you evaluate the job you've done so far?
I still got a lot to learn. I'm the rookie, and right now, I think I'm learning at a good pace, but my job now is to learn from veterans and understand the offense as fast as I can. So then, I'm not questioning what I'm doing. I'm just moving fast and getting to the right place.
How did it feel to actually make contact with an NFL front seven for the first time?
It's definitely faster. The guys are a bit bigger, but it's what I've been training for. And I feel like I'm a guy who's supposed to be there. So, and I've been playing with these guys. We've been doing OTAs and these other practices. So it's still pretty physical. So you start to get an understanding of what each guy can do and how fast he is, and who's a speed guy, who's a strength guy. So that definitely helped a bit. But definitely faster, and you can tell guys get after it.
You said you're kind of leaning on some of the veterans. Like, how quickly are you guys able to build any chemistry out here? This is just the first day in pads, but even before now.
Oh, I think we've created a lot of chemistry even through OTAs and minicamp, and guys like Taylor and Ben and a bunch of guys. They've really been helping the rookies a lot and helping me a lot. And the biggest thing I take from that is if we can talk now and work things out, once it gets to game day, we're going to understand each other's nuances. We're going to be able to talk to each other, and that's what leads to winning games and getting the holes open.
A lot of youth on that offensive line. Jack Conklin saying all the right things. So while he's a highly rated draft pick, Titans investing a lot in him and selecting him, there's now the story of Chance Warmack, who was also a top 10 draft pick, a guy with high expectations coming out of Alabama. And they didn't really go so well for him the first couple of seasons here with the Titans. So much so that they kind of played a little mind game in the offseason, talking about a contract, about how it's just not a shoe-in, that they're just going to back up the Brinks truck as soon as this contract's over and write Chance a big check again. They're really kind of putting it on him that he's got to go out and perform this year. He has to play better. The team has to play better. The line has to produce, and it's all gonna have to end up with some wins. So Chance Warmack, kind of not thrown under the bus, but definitely sat down in the front seat of the bus right next to the GM and the head coach heading into this season. Here's Chance.
pads on for the first time today?
It's good. This is what football is all about. Getting your fits right, communicating, just working on the little details and just getting better every day.
More flags today than we've seen. What can you attribute that to?
Not acceptable, like Coach says. First day of practice, it's going to get better over time. Guys, first day with pads on, anxious. We're just getting after it today and got to clean it up.
Is it about having the pads on? Do you have to think a little bit more, or maybe it makes it more real because the guys coming at you full speed like that?
No, of course. You don't have time to really think, so you have to know what you got to do at all times to protect yourself and to carry out the play. And just got to be efficient.
How important are these days with the pads on for you guys up front on the offensive line to gel?
I think it's very important because you're really getting a good look at your technique, defining your craft, and just getting better at that. And also working well with your teammates, just having good cohesiveness together.
Chance Warmack saying all the right things and hopefully doing all the right things that can lead to a long, productive career here in Nashville. All right, like I said, the Titans are under the lights over there at Nissan Stadium. The fans are in attendance, able to watch and see if they've gotten any better. It's really kind of hard to tell unless there's somebody in a different colored jersey from a different city lined up across from them. But hey, that's all we have right now, right? So you just got to take what they give you. And what they're going to give us tonight is a good look at them throwing the ball around and some sound. And our sports team's over there picking that stuff up. And we'll have that tonight on Channel 5 around 10:22. Tune in a little early, though. Watch Bree do the weather. Find out how the humidity's going. When is the heat going to leave? Is it going to rain? And then watch sports. Or heck, watch Carrie too. I'll tell you what, tune in at about 9:58, watch the entire newscast, and we'll be up with sports around 10:22. Let's shift gears now since you're not going to call me. It's 615-737-7767 is the number. That's 737-7767. I'm Steve Wrigley here on SportsLine. Let's shift gears and talk a little college football right now. Let's go down I-24 to Murfreesboro. We can do this very quickly, much quicker than you can do it in a car. Just a sidebar here. When I moved here in 1999, you can make it to a football game or a practice at MTSU from downtown in about 35 to 40 minutes. Those days are long gone. But back in those days, the MTSU Blue Raiders were not nearly playing the kind of football that they're playing now. What a season last year for both Western Kentucky and MTSU. Western Kentucky goes 8-0 in the conference, 12-2 overall. They light it up, throw the ball all over the yard. Record-setting quarterback in Dowdy. Well, they didn't do so bad up there in the borough either. They were 6-2 in the conference, in Conference USA. 7-6 overall, bowl game, all that fun stuff. But this is the year that they're really primed for, and it's the coach's kid. Yeah, Brent Stockstill, who leads the way at quarterback, and he's got a great receiver by the name of Richie James. They're on the Maxwell watch list. So to bring you up to speed here, it takes a long time to get to Murfreesboro now from Nashville, and MTSU is playing much better football. And the rest of the country's taking notice. That's a big deal to get on the Maxwell watch list, which is for Stockstill and receiver Richie James. They set records all last year. They set records for scoring, for passing yards, and total offense. And they're only going to be better this year, right? They should only be better because they've had time to practice. They've had time they got a taste of it last year, and so they should be working a whole lot harder. Anyway, let's hear from a couple of the guys up there in the borough. Stephen Rhodes, Brent Stockstill, DJ Sanders, and Daniel Stevens. Here they are.
Daniel, touching on that, Coach, you said at media days that Coach Franklin came in and nobody's position was safe, and that he moved everybody around. Tell us about that and him coming in, where he moved guys around and getting adjusted to that mentality. You have to move around to different positions on the line or anywhere else.
Well, I think his main goal was just to establish competition. I mean, obviously we have a lot of guys returning, but there's a lot of great players on his team that haven't seen the field as much as they possibly should have. And he really just wanted to get everybody in and get a good feel for everybody. And he wants to make sure that he puts the best product on the field. And so really him just creating competition on all 11 positions up front where you started for 3 years or you haven't played a game really kind of brought a new life to the offense. And kind of made some people feel uncomfortable, but that's what's good for this team, and that's what will take our offense and make us be better next year.
Brent, losing the talent like Ed from last year's team, what's that going to do to you in the passing game? We all miss Ed. It was just a great personality to have on this team in the locker room. At practice, one of the hardest workers I've been around, the way he practiced. And obviously a great player, contributed, in large amounts to this team. But, I think they were talking about earlier, you're not going to replace one guy, with another guy. Like KB, you're not going to bring in, you got to do it by committee. So we'll bring in, a couple of receivers to replace him, and I think we can do that. It'll be by committee. I think we got young guys that have worked their tail off, some walk-ons, like Coach Franklin said, that are really going to contribute to our offense to replace, a couple guys that we lost. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys step up, and, we'll see what happens.
Stephen, talk a little bit about the schedule, or anybody else that wants to chime in. Last year, you guys never had to go on the road more than 1 week at a time. It was a completely alternating schedule, home, road, home, road. This year, there are 3 times that you have back-to-back road games this year. How important is it going to be for you guys to make sure your bodies are good and rest and all that kind of stuff?
That's always going to be important, always going to be paramount. Keeping your body in tip-top shape, being ready for adversity. Touching on being, having so many away games. Away games are what really test your team. It tests your willpower, your fortitude, and I love that adversity. I love that challenge. It's nothing like going on the road and beating a team. So I just look at it as another challenge, another obstacle for us to jump over. So yeah, I embrace it, and everybody else on the team does as well.
DJ, no one talks down rivalries like Coach Stock still, but after what happened last year against Western Kentucky, how much do you circle October 15th on the schedule this year?
It's in the back of my mind, but right now we just focus on Alabama A&M, so,
Is that a real answer or just
nah, that's a real answer.
Stephen, Coach Nix and Coach Stock both talked a lot about your leadership on the defense. How much of that do you draw from your background in the military?
Almost all of it. Leading Marines is one of the toughest groups to lead. It's kind of like leading a bunch of A-dominant male figures that don't care what you got to say. I can be a leader too. So, just being able to do that, learning from leaders before me, I feel like that's established a great deal of foundation for me, and I'm always building, every day. You got a bunch of guys that's around me that are great leaders as well, and we kind of feed off each other, and I'm just blessed to be a part of this team and be able to lead so many great men.
Any of you that wants to answer this one, how do you guys deal with expectations this year? You're projected to win the East, whatever. How do you guys deal with those and not let them get in the way?
It sounds cliche, but it's very humbling, to know that people had that confidence in you, that we possibly can, win the East, win the conference. That's great expectations for us, but it's nothing if we don't do anything with it. I feel like when you start practicing, and you start practicing a game, you're not really thinking about what somebody said back in August. So right now it's good, but it won't mean anything until, we go out there September 3rd and, get the season cranked up.
DJ, you as a defense, you guys faced a number of Conference USA's top quarterbacks last year and high-powered offenses like Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Now you're going up against a high-powered offense in practice. Tell me, Stephen touched on this at Conference USA Media Days, that you guys probably aren't going to be off the field that much. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I agree with it. With our offense, it's high-powered. It only going to make us better on defense, because going up against them every day competing, you can only get better. You won't stay the same. So I can't wait to get practice started.
Daniel, the O-line did a great job of protecting Brent last year, only allowed 17 sacks. If something had happened to Brent, you would have had a experienced starter coming in for him. You don't have that this year. How much pressure does that add to your job?
Well, you always want to protect your starting quarterback. Brent's obviously our guy. But even if he did go down, we have confidence in the guys behind him. John Erz is a young kid, but he's got a strong arm. And I feel like he can step in and do the job if he has to. Obviously it adds a little bit of pressure because Brent's such a talent. But I mean, if we have to roll with somebody else because of injury or whatever, we can do it. And that more comes from just the overall talent of the offense, not just one or two people. So.
MTSU with a target on its back in the Conference USA play, but boy, and they alluded to it just a little bit. I mean, they say they're not going to look past Alabama A&M. I get that, but boy, they couldn't wait. They can't wait to go to Vanderbilt on September 10th and take on the Commodores and try to get a big win over an SEC team in that battle. That should be a great game. I mean, come on. 2 local teams, a lot of local guys playing. A good day. Circle that one on the calendar. MTSU at Vanderbilt on September 10th. All right, we've got Brian holding on line 1. Brian, we're not coming back to you just yet because we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll close out the show and we'll give Brian his final say of the night. I'm Steve Wrigley. You're watching SportsLine. See you on the other side.